In today's video, yet another edition of the TREB Resale Market Report, this time for the month of December. When the TREB Resale Market Report comes out, I'm going to review it in all its details, the major trends, some of the more minor trends, some of the facts, and some things you should know. Let's get to it. Hello everyone, this is Sam from SaberiSixRealEstate and Remax Realtron Realty Inc. As always, back with another video for you guys here today. You can find my contact information with regards to my Gmail, my Instagram, and my office information in the description box. Feel free to get in touch with me with any questions with regards to topics covered in this video, topics covered in previous videos, or any general inquiries with regards to the Toronto/GTA real estate market. I also have a TikTok. I upload different types of content on TikTok. So when I'm with a buyer and walking through a property, just quickly show you the property in 30 to 45-second clip to see what I'm seeing on the ground, some other types of content. So it will be greatly appreciated if you can go and find me on there as well. And lastly, subscribe, comment, rate, and review if you wish to do so. You're not obliged to do so whatsoever. Enough of that stuff. Let's get to the point of today's video as I get a notification on my Apple Watch, which is the TREB Resale Market Report. As always, we're going to start with some of the more major numbers and trends, some of the more macro ones, and then we're going to look at more specific property by property type, area by area trends. Starting out, total residential transactions. This accounts for all sales that occur within the GTA of all property types, to be clear. So in the month of December 2021, we had about 6,000 transactions, which represented a dip, no surprise there, year over year from 7,100 December of 2020. That's about a 14 to 15% decline if my memory serves me correct. And this is, once again, not to be a broken record, but if I'm going to do this on a monthly basis, if the trends stay the same, the trends stay the same, and I have to say the same things, unfortunately, this is more of a symptom of the low number of inventory, which we will get to later on in the video. Not to say that sales do not dip in December. Sales generally do dip in December, as do listings. It's towards the end of the year, the holidays. In any given normal year, that is very much so seasonal. Sales and listings do typically dip, but not to this extent, right? As you can see, even last year, we were looking at 7,000, which was a dip if we were to look at month over month last year for 2020. But nonetheless, still 1,100 more than what we're looking at here. And actually, this 6,000 is 1,100 less, of course, with regards to year over year, but month over month is far more of a demonstrative and noticeable drop, where in November of 2021, so now we're looking at month over month, no longer year over year, about a drop of 3,000. And here, let me pull up this chart for the year to date, almost year to date, chart of sales, a month by month basis for all areas. So this accounts for all GTA areas, all TREB areas. We see November of 2021, which would be evident from the TREB Resale Market Report from November. If you were to look at that, we saw 9,000 sales, but even going backwards, ever since July of 2021, we've been sub 10,000 sales, with July being 9,300, August being around 8,500. Once again, September reaching back towards 9,000. October is the closest we got in terms of reaching 10,000 sales again at 9,700. And of course, November 9,000, and then once again the big drop into December 2021 with regards to the Toronto real estate market and the GTA real estate market at 6,000 sales. As sales keep dropping, prices keep going up, because if we're going to look at year over year prices now, let's look to average sold price across all property types in all areas. We see a year over year increase of 24% in average sold price as compared to December of 2020. There, the average sold price was still sub 1 million at $932,000. Now we're looking at above 1.1 at $1.157 million. So a 24% increase year over year. We have to keep in our mind, though, that last December, the condo market was down. And this is something we're going to touch on when we go through condo specific numbers in this video. So the average sold price last December was a little bit lower than it should be because the condo numbers, the struggling condo market at the time was kind of carrying down the average there. Nonetheless, that's a very small part of the explanation. And clearly speaking, prices with regards to all property types in all areas on an average basis doesn't show any signs of slowing down, and it's been going up. This is in fact a record price, record-breaking price. Now this might to some be a very outlandish prediction, to some might be quite, underwhelming prediction. To me, I think it's actually somewhat of a conservative estimate, but I think in 2022 we do stand a chance of seeing that $1.2 million barrier being broken for more than just 1 month or two. I think we're gonna see average sold prices near the 1.2 for sure, but even at 1.2 for some months in 2022. The only thing that's kind of holding me back from fully predicting that 2022 is gonna be such a bullish run for average sold prices is that I do see potentially freehold properties having somewhat of a stagnated, stunted growth, not once again depreciating whatsoever. They're going to appreciate. I think prices for freehold, detached semis are going to be up. At least this is with regards to central GTA, right? We're putting aside Western GTA, Eastern GTA, central GTA. I think freehold properties are going to grow at a slower rate than what we saw in 2021 for sure. And then let's go back to the inventory numbers, the more macro numbers, total number of listings, which, as I said, the first macro trend I discussed, which was total number of sales, that is contingent upon, in my frank opinion, this figure, which is total number of listings, the inventory, the product that's on the market. And yes, the year over year is somewhat alarming, 11% dip. Yes, in December of 2020, we were looking at 5,800 listings, which was very low for the time. Now, even we're looking at lower than that, 700 at 5,100 listings, 11% dip. So yes, that is something significant. But if we look at that month over month, that's even more significant in my opinion. Because in November of 2021, so the preceding month now, not year over year, we had 10,000 listings, which was still low, but 10,000 listings, and we dropped all the way to 5. Once again, that is normal. The fact that November to December, the listing numbers dip, very seasonal, of course, but by that magnitude, that is a little atypical and very, very, in my opinion, worthy of emphasizing. Let's do the entirety of 2021 with regards to month-by-month basis, the number of sales. As we see, the listings really peaked in March 2021 at 22,000 listings, right? That is something of a dream of a distant past, right? That's, to me, that's unfathomable, because I also work on the ground. Like, I'm working with a lot of buyers right now. And yes, sometimes I don't take them to what's on the market. Sometimes I do have a seller that's off the market and it's a good match, it's a perfect fit for each other and it works out. I take them to my off-market sellers. Point here is I would kill for 22,000 listings because that would give us the leverage back as buyers. At the same time, working with sellers right now, it's a little more advantageous for them in terms of the limited number of listings. Now, if you looked at my recent market report, rather the weekly condo market update, in a really, really small micro sample size in the weekly condo market update that I did last video, listings now on a daily count, what's coming onto the market on a daily basis, is improving a bit, right? Yesterday, which is the 5th of January, we had around 102. The day before that, we had 100. 3 days ago, we had 100 listings onto the market, which was an increase from, I believe, 50 some odd listings the day before that. On the 6th, we had around 102 new listings onto the market. This is with regards to condominiums, by the way. So just keep that in mind, right? It's not the best comparable, but it still gets the point. And then the day after that, I believe the 6th, or rather yesterday, the 7th, I think we had about 99, 98 listings that came onto the market. So the listing figures into at least, micro size, sample size with condominiums are improving into January. Nonetheless, 22,000 in March, and we see the precipitous decline of listings onto where now it's 5,000, right, in December of 2021. But not to say when there was 22,000 listings in March, it was a buyer advantageous market, by the way. Don't get that impression. Even at 22,000 listings, there was such demand that, you know, a lot of properties that I was selling for clients were going at bidding at around $300,000 to $400,000 above asking. Even in some cases, in some freehold properties in North York, $500,000 above asking. It was still a seller advantageous market. It's just buyers obviously had more options. Nonetheless, at that point in time, supply still was a little bit more than demand. Now, demand has dipped. Of course, a lot of buyers have removed themselves from the market, but still what buyers remain, what demand remains, still outweighs the supply, which, not to beat a dead horse, is very low. Frankly, though, I'm kind of tiring myself of all this supply talk. So let's get into some prices. You know, let's look at some prices by property type. Here, this chart looks at the number of sales by area code, so 416 and 905, and then the total, and then prices for property types, and then provides obviously a year-over-year percentage growth, or in some cases decline, in terms of sales. All of them represent a negative percentage, whether you're looking at it just 905, 416, or in total, all property types, because once again, as we went through it, there were less listings. Obviously, there's going to be less transactions that are occurring on the market, not including private transactions. Now, let's take into account what's representing the smallest dip in transactions in terms of the number of sales, both in the 416 and the 905 and total areas, which is condominiums. Overall, there were 5.9% less in all areas than December of 2020, but that is paling in comparison to the dip in transactions of all the other property types, townhomes, semis, and detached, where there were 23, 14, and 19% dip respectively. And the part of the explanation, at least in my professional opinion, to that is that since you had less condominium sales occurring in December, because it was still kind of a struggling condominium market last year, at least in my frank opinion, condominium sales were already low last year. So the fact that they're even lower now, sure, it's a drop, but it's a drop of a less of a magnitude, whereas townhomes, freehold and condominiums, townhomes and detached and semis were performing far better around November, December of last year as compared to condominiums. As a result, the drop in transactions is going to be more, right? That's why here, yes, still nonetheless a drop, but a far less drop in sales all over. This is actually, when we look at year-over-year prices for condominiums, you know, here, for instance, the 416, so the city of Toronto, the municipality of Toronto, shows a 16.8% increase in average sold price for a condominium year over year, which is higher than detached and semis, lower than townhomes, but on par with townhomes. That's not something we see often. So that should show you, on the flip side of things, condominiums were in a poor place in December in terms of prices, and the increase is obviously going to be more of a magnitude. Whereas, yes, condominiums were in a poor place last December. That's why the fall in sales is going to be less of a magnitude. It's kind of an inverse relationship. And please let me know if you understand what I'm saying, and maybe I'm not doing the best job explaining that part. There's so much more numbers I can go through, like there's so many more things I can touch on, but time is limited. So let's move on to condominium numbers and prices in terms of month over month and year over year by more specific areas. Month over month, almost all areas in the city of Toronto are down. Overall, the GTA is down 0.5%, going from the average sold price in November of 2021 of $715,000 to $711,000, 0.5%. Pretty much negligible. Things have stayed the same GTA wide. When we look at the city of Toronto, Toronto wide, so the municipality of Toronto, prices dropped about $15,000, going from $745 to $730 November to December. Now, if we look at downtown, which here I'm going to signify as, now if we just look at downtown, which I'm going to designate as C1 and C8, month over month, C1 saw a drop of about 2.7% in average sold price for condominiums, and C8 saw a drop of 1.7%. And before I break that down, let's get into some of the York region numbers. Month over month, York region was actually up 1%. Once again, nothing groundbreaking. 1% a year, or rather month over month. It's still appreciation, but we're looking at average, right? Not median. There's a lot of things that can influence movement around the 0.5% to 0.8% mark. Nonetheless, the average sold price in York region-wide in December was up from November. And same thing with Richmond Hill. Richmond Hill went from $663,000 in November to $670,000. Same thing with Vaughan, but an increase on paper. Really, we're talking about 0.2% now. We're talking about $2,000 in average sold price. So on paper, yes, an increase. Vaughan went from about $696,000 to $698,000. But really, it's pretty much the same, right? It could be easily, it could be $2,000 less. But what I'm gonna now talk about is often on this channel, I talk about how, you know, the numbers completely correspond to my on-the-ground experience. So the quantitative are completely adding up to the qualitative experience I've had on the ground, working with buyers, working with sellers. But this is one of the rare exceptions where I'm going to actually tell you, no, the numbers don't really correspond to what I'm seeing on the ground. And here I'm going to give primacy to the numbers, not to my experience, because I believe at the end of the day, if the numbers are conducted in a proper way, they should take primacy over your first person experience. But on the ground, when I've been working with buyers, sellers in the month of December, I saw prices on a more micro level, so neighborhood by neighborhood, not even C1 to C1, but maybe King West to King West, or building to building, or unit type to unit type. I saw an appreciation month over month. But year over year, condo prices are very much so up. Then to quickly just finish up with detached houses, same thing, month over month now we're looking. Most of the city of Toronto was down. GTA overall was up, of course. One thing that I'm not that much shocked by is Toronto East being up out of all the places in the city of Toronto, because as I've said in the past, I think I said the same thing in the November report, market demand kind of shifted towards Toronto East, because it's simply the most affordable portion of the city of Toronto, and one of the few neighborhoods in the city of Toronto where you can actually still find detached options under $1 million. So of course, where the affordable options are, when Toronto Central, Toronto West kind of go up in prices and kind of go out of the reach of a lot of the buyers that are available in the market. We're not talking about the buyers that are operating with 30-40% down, a lot of cash, can buy 1.5, 1.6, $2 million properties. We're talking about buyers who are more so maybe first time, second time buyers that can only afford up to 1.1, 1.2. They're going to go towards Toronto East because that's where more options are readily available. And I worked with a buyer in November that was their budget. That was 1.2, around 1.2, maybe 1.3 maximum. And we were looking at Toronto East for more spacious options. This is not to say that 1.3 can't find you anything in Central and, of course, Western Toronto, but it's probably either going to find you older properties that need work, which in this case my buyer was not willing to do, or it's going to find you more smaller options. Safe to say, more affordable options exist in terms of detached properties and freehold properties in Toronto East. But Central Toronto being down so much, that kind of did surprise me. Month over month, York region was up month over month. Durham was up as well. And really, to me, the story of the year in 2021 was Durham. Durham saw an all front freehold in terms of townhomes and detached, considerable appreciation. Anyways, there's so much more I could have gone through, but I'm gonna leave some for future videos. This has been probably long enough for you guys. As always, let me know if you have any further questions in the comments or via my contact info. Lastly, feel free to subscribe, comment, rate, and review. Your support in that regard is, as always, greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for watching. Stay safe and stay tuned. Thank you.